In this chapter, we're going to focus on the following 10 keywords: hazard, peevish, temper, insinuate, makeshift, customary, capsize, bankrupt, notable, and ultimate. Now let's start with the first keyword, hazard. Now if you look at the picture, obviously there are different languages. You might be lucky and this could be your own language, but you don't need to understand the language to know what these graphics are all about. These graphics are warning you against some kind of danger. It could be fire or electricity. So the question we have here is, how does that relate to the word hazard? Is it related to danger? Let's find out. A hazard is a countable noun. A hazard is something which could be dangerous to you, your health or safety, or your plans or reputation. For example, a new report suggests that chewing gum may be a health hazard, may be dangerous to your health. Another example, oil leaking from a barge in the Mississippi River poses a hazard to the drinking water of New Orleans. So this could be dangerous. And hazard can also be used as a verb. If you hazard someone or something, you put them into a situation which might be dangerous for them. Now, we use that usually in writing rather than speaking. For example, we can say he could not believe that had the Englishman known how much he was at risk, he would have hazarded his grandson. And that means put him into danger, a situation that might be dangerous. And synonyms for hazard as a verb are the words jeopardize, risk, endanger, and threaten. So the next time you remember this picture, remember the word hazard and what it means. And now for the next keyword, peevish. Now, if you look at this girl in the picture, you can see that she is not the friendly type. She looks angry, she looks upset, she looks bad-tempered. But can we say that she looks peevish? Is that a word we can use here? What is the meaning of peevish? Let's find out. Peevish is an adjective. Someone who is peevish is bad-tempered. For example, she glared down at me with a peevish expression on her face. Just like the expression we saw on that girl's face in the picture. And synonyms for peevish are the words irritable, cross, crabbed, or childish. We can use peevishly as an adverb. For example, she had grown ever more peevishly frustrated with him. And we can use the word peevishness as an uncountable noun. For example, he complained with characteristic peevishness. So the next time you remember the picture of this girl with this look on her face, remember the word peevish and what it means. And now for the next keyword, temper. Now, if you look at the picture, we can see that we have a dessert here. Now, we can see in the dessert walnuts and chocolate. But the question here is not about dessert or whether you like it or not. The question we have here is, what is the relationship between this picture and the word temper? Well, if you think about the chocolate we have here, this is not the chocolate in its original state. Can we say it has been tempered? What is the meaning of temper? Let's find out. Now, temper is a verb. If someone tempers with something, they interfere with it or try to change it when they have no right to do so. Well, that might not be related to the picture we saw because tempering the chocolate is okay and there's no problem in that. But when we talk about more serious things, tempering with other things you have no right to change is a problem. For example, I don't want to be accused of tampering with the evidence. So obviously here it's a serious thing, changing the evidence, and you don't have the right to do that. Or another example, he found his computer had been tampered with. Now, somebody changed something on his computer without telling him or without having the right to do so. And synonyms for tamper are the words influence, fix, rig, and corrupt. And tampering is the uncountable noun we can use here. For example, discovering a motive for a crime like product tampering. So the next time you remember the picture of the tempered chocolate and the dessert we have in this picture, remember the word temper and what it means. And now for the next keyword, insinuate. Now if you look at the picture, we have please note on the board. And please note what is the teacher or the person who wrote on the board trying to say. Maybe he's not saying something directly, maybe he's trying to say something indirectly. So could that be related to the meaning of insinuate? Let's find out. Now, insinuate is a verb. If you say that someone insinuates that something bad is the case, you mean that they say it in an indirect way. And that is usually a negative word we use to show our disapproval. For example, the libel claim followed an article which insinuated that the president was lying. It said that, but in an indirect way, and it is a bad thing. We're not complimenting this thing. And the synonyms for insinuate are the words imply, suggest, hint, or indicate. We can use insinuation as a variable noun. For example, I just don't think it's right to bring a good man down by rumor and insinuation. And synonyms for insinuation are the words implication, suggestion, hint, and allusion. Now, insinuate can be used in a different context as well. If you say that someone insinuates themselves into a particular situation, you mean that they manage very cleverly and perhaps dishonestly to get into that situation. And that is also a negative word that shows disapproval. For example, he gradually insinuated himself into her life. So he managed to get into her life very cleverly, but we are trying to say that maybe also that happened dishonestly. So we do not show our approval of that. And that's why we use insinuate. So the next time you remember this picture of the board with the please note on the board, remember the word insinuate and what it means. And now for the next keyword, makeshift. Now, if you look at the picture, you can see there is a bridge in the middle of the forest, but if you look closer at that bridge, you can see that it is not a robust or solid bridge. There are obviously problems and it's not reliable, but it's good as a temporary thing that you can use to cross from one side to the other. But it is not a great bridge, or it's not built to be permanent. So could that be the meaning of makeshift? Let's find out. Now, makeshift is an adjective. Makeshift things are temporary and usually of poor quality, but they are used because there is nothing better available. Maybe just like this picture. The best option available was the bamboo they made this bridge with. For example, the cardboard boxes and makeshift shelters of the homeless. They are not the best possible solution, and obviously they are of poor quality, but that is the best available option. Or we can say a makeshift coffee table. It is of poor quality, but it is the only available option that we have. So synonyms for makeshift are the words temporary, provisional, make do, and substitute. So the next time you remember the picture of this temporary bridge in the middle of a forest, remember the word makeshift and what it means. And now let's move to the next keyword, customary. Now, if you look at the picture, you can see this man wearing the traditional Scottish outfit with the kilt as the main feature. Now, maybe this is not common in other parts of the world, but in Scotland, that is the tradition. So can we say that this is customary? Does it have to do with traditions and customs? Let's find out. Customary is an adjective, and customary is used to describe things that people usually do in a particular society or in particular circumstances. For example, it is customary to offer a drink or a snack to guests. It is the traditional thing to do. People usually do it. And synonyms for customary are the words usual, general, common, and accepted. We can use customarily as an adverb. For example, marriages in medieval Europe were customarily arranged by the families. That was the usual thing. That was the tradition. Not like today. Even in some parts of the world, it's still the same thing. But anyway, the idea is that this is done by tradition. That is how it is usually done. And synonyms for customarily are the words usually, generally, commonly, and regularly. And customary can be used in a different context as well. Customary is used to describe something that a particular person usually does or has, not a whole society. For example, the king carried himself with his customary elegance. So that is something that the king usually did, not the whole country. Another example, Yvonne took her customary seat behind her desk. So she usually takes this seat, and that is something usual for this person, not for everybody. And synonyms for customary in this context are the words accustomed, regular, usual, or habitual. So the next time you see this man with his Scottish outfit, remember the word customary and what it means. And now for the next key word, capsize. If you look at this picture, we can see that this canoe is in actual danger. It is about to be flipped over. And that might be a dangerous thing, especially if the waves are high and if the person is not experienced enough. But how does that relate to the word capsize? Does it have to do with canoeing itself, or does it have to do with the idea of flipping over the canoe? Let's find out. Capsize is a verb. If you capsize a boat, or if it capsizes, it turns upside down in the water, just like what we saw in the picture. For example, the sea got very rough and the boat capsized. Or I didn't count on his capsizing the raft. And synonyms for capsize are the words overturn, turn over, invert, or tip over. So the next time you remember this picture of the canoe, remember the word capsize and what it means. And now for the next key word, bankrupt. Now if you look at this picture, we have a man and probably his wife, and they do not look happy. And if you read the sign behind them, you will know why they're not happy. Foreclosure means the bank took their house and it is about to be sold so that the bank can get its money back. And that is done by court order, so this couple can do nothing to change it. But how does that relate to the word bankrupt? Is it the reason why the bank foreclosed their property in the first place? Let's find out. A bankrupt is an adjective. People or organizations that go bankrupt do not have enough money to pay their debts. And that is a common term we use in business. For example, if the firm cannot sell its products, it will go bankrupt. It won't have enough money to pay their debts, so it will go bankrupt. And bankrupt can also be used as a verb. To bankrupt a person or organization means to make them go bankrupt. And that is also a business term. For example, the move to the market nearly bankrupted the firm and its director. And synonyms for bankrupt as a verb are the words ruin, break, impoverish, or make bankrupt. And bankrupt can also be used in a different context. If you say that something is bankrupt, you are emphasizing that it lacks any value or worth. For example, he really thinks that European civilization is morally bankrupt. And synonyms for bankrupt in this context are the words lacking, wanting, deprived, and in need. So the next time you remember the picture of this man and woman with the foreclosure sign behind them, remember the word bankrupt and what it means. And now let's move to the next key word, notable. Now in the picture, we have the famous Eiffel Tower. And this structure stands beautifully in the middle of Paris. The special thing about it that wherever you are in Paris, you can see it and it is noticeable from wherever you go. It is important and it is prominent. It can be seen from everywhere. In Paris, obviously. But can we say that this is a notable structure in Paris or in France? What is the meaning of the word notable? Let's find out. Now, notable is an adjective. Someone or something that is notable is important or interesting. For example, the proposed new structure is notable not only for its height, but for its shape. Or we can say it is notable that she never allowed the men in her life to eclipse her, which is a very important thing all women should do. And notable can also be used as a noun, and in this case it is usually plural. And notables are important or powerful people. For example, the notables include 5 senators, 2 Supreme Court judges, and 3 state governors. Synonyms for notable as a noun are the words celebrity, worthy, big name, or dignitary. So the next time you remember the picture of the Eiffel Tower, remember the word notable and what it means. And now for the last key word for this chapter, ultimate. Now if you look at the picture, you can see the famous cheetah. And cheetah is famous for one main thing. Cheetah is the fastest land animal ever. They can reach great speed as a land animal that no other animal can ever reach. So we know that they are the best, but in terms of speed, can we say that this is the ultimate example of speed for land animals? Can we use the word ultimate in this sense? What is the meaning of the word ultimate? Let's find out. Now, ultimate is an adjective. You use ultimate to describe the final result or aim of a long series of events. For example, he said it is still not possible to predict the ultimate outcome, the final result. Or we can say the ultimate aim is to expand the network further. That is the final thing, the final aim that we want. And synonyms for ultimate in this context are the words final, eventual, conclusive, and last. But ultimate can also be used in different contexts. You use ultimate to describe the original source or cause of something. For example, the ultimate cause of what's happened seems to have been the advertising campaign. That is the original source of what's happened. And synonyms for ultimate in this context are the words fundamental, basic, primary, and radical. And let's take a look at ultimate in also a different context. Now, you use ultimate to describe the most important or powerful thing in a particular kind, maybe just like the cheetah. For example, of course, the ultimate authority remained the presidency. That is the most important or the most powerful. Another example, my experience as player, coach, and manager has prepared me for this ultimate challenge. That is the most important challenge. And synonyms for ultimate in this context are the words supreme, highest, greatest, or maximum. You can also use ultimate in a different context. You use ultimate to describe the most extreme and unpleasant example of a particular thing. For example, bringing back the death penalty would be the ultimate abuse of human rights. That would be the most extreme and unpleasant abuse. Or we can say, treachery was the ultimate sin. And synonyms for ultimate in this context are the words worst, greatest, utmost, and extreme. We can also use ultimate to describe the best possible example of a particular thing. For example, caviar and oysters on ice are generally considered the ultimate luxury foods, which simply means the best. So the next time you remember the picture of the cheetah, remember the word ultimate and what it means. And that's all for this chapter.